Update. Am I the a-hole for not telling my girlfriend I was going to break up with her if she went on vacation with male friends? Original post. Basically, my girlfriend went on vacation with her male friends. I told her this made me uncomfortable and didn't want her to go. By the way, she used to hook up with one of them before she met me. She told me it'd be fine, and that they're like brothers to her. I already made a decision to break up with her right there and then, but I wanted to get my stuff from her place before anything, and I figured I should do that while she's gone. I also didn't want to break up over a text or a call, so I waited for her to come back. I picked her up when she came back, dropped her off, and gave her the key to her place and broke up. She started crying, and she figured out it was because of the vacation. She kept saying that nothing happened. I told her she knew I wasn't comfortable with this, and she still went. She mentioned that I should have said that I'd break up with her if she went, and that if she knew, she never would have gone. I told her I didn't want to be controlling and threaten her with ending the relationship. We kept going back and forth over this for a while. Now for the comments, most are stupid, before reading the update. Also, this kind of stuff is why women are tempted to lie when a date/partner asks if they are friends with exes, or if they've slept with their male friends, etc. She was 100% honest with you, and got dumped for it with zero discussion. And to those saying trust needs to be built up, this is how you do that. By trusting her in this situation and seeing how it goes. Also, what the F was she supposed to do? Call up her friends and say, "Sorry, I can't come. My boyfriend is worried I'll sleep with you." Or lie to them to protect your insecurities? No, she was not. She only told me because I saw a picture of them kissing. You're the a-hole. You said you were uncomfortable. You decided to dump her when she didn't do what you wanted, which you never explicitly asked her to. So basically, because she didn't read your mind, you did not state a boundary. If you X, then I will Y because I need to take care Z need. She dodged a bullet at least. She's better off with someone less insecure. Downvote me all you want, but the fact this is so normal in straight culture will never cease to be weird to me. I can't imagine dumping my girlfriend because she went on a vacation with her male friends, even if she'd hooked up with one of them in the past. I'd be like, hell yeah, girl. Have a great time. Take lots of pictures. Can't wait to talk when you get back. Good for you for being so secure, but we all draw the line at different places. I drew the line somewhere before you did. It's my choice. Simple as that. You calling me insecure is that same thing as someone in an open relationship calling you insecure for not letting your partner mess around. Not the a-hole. You enforced your boundaries. The consequences for boundaries don't always need to be explained, as all situations are different. Exactly, this is the true definition of boundaries. You expressed what you're not willing to put up with, and then follow through. If y'all have different values, so be it. Not the a-hole. You'd be toast too if it was the other way around. I agree. As a woman, I would certainly not like it at all if my husband did this, and I would never even ask to do this. When you're in a relationship, you don't do things that make them uncomfortable, as he put it. Why would you want to hang around other men without your man there? Strange. Not the a-hole. You had a reasonable boundary and you didn't force it into a scenario where she could resent you over it. You enforced the boundary and broke up in a reasonable way. I don't know about that. I'm pretty sure she still resents me over it. Cost of doing business, my friend. Is there ever a breakup when both people are happy? She wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Edit. A lot of y'all are assuming an awful lot here. Most of you are cool, but to give you a bit more context, 1, she never actually introduced me to these friends. Even though I mentioned I wanted to meet them, she kept making excuses. 2, she never told me she used to hook up with her friend. I only found out because I found an old picture of them kissing when she was showing me some old travel pictures. 3, I was okay with her friendship until now. This was just too much for me. Most of y'all are cool, but I swear, some of y'all act like cheaters don't exist. Did she cheat on me? Who knows? But at this point, I was sick of doubting. Now for the update. Hello everyone. My post got a lot of attention. I responded to a few comments and even edited it. So I figured I should update you all. Her male friend reached out to me on Instagram, the one she used to hook up with. He asked if I was dating my ex, and I told him what happened. He actually apologized. He said he didn't know that we were still dating. He said that my ex was talking mad trash about me, and he was confused. Apparently, my ex-girlfriend told him we broke up months ago, and they have been hooking up regularly since. Yes, including the trip. The guy even showed me some pictures of the two of them kissing during the trip. So that explains why she never wanted me to meet them. So all my suspicions were correct. The guy actually seemed like a decent guy. He apologized a lot for what he did. I don't hold any resentment towards him, and I'm glad that I got confirmation that I made a right decision. So to all of you who supported me, thanks a lot. I appreciate it. And one last comment to some of you. My insecurity kept me from wasting any more of my time. You felt something was wrong, and unfortunately you were right. Always trust your gut. Glad you got out. Exactly. Had a feeling my ex was banging someone else but denied it and made me feel like an idiot for months. Finally, I reached out to the guy I thought she was with. He had no idea we were married and confirmed all my suspicions. She was angry, I called him, and told me she was going to tell me. Trust your gut. I had a guy come talk to me in my car after I knew he had gotten dropped off from his job late one night. He could see something was troubling me. He's really religious. And so after asking him if he believes in God and if he can see everything we do, I had a long dramatic pause and looked him in the face and asked him point blank, did she kiss you or did you kiss her? I had no proof other than my gut, and I was half expecting to hear denials or that my instincts were off. I felt my heart drop into my gut when he quickly answered, she kissed me. I had no proof or anything, just a gut feeling. And I had to trick this guy into telling me the truth. Trust your gut. I hope the dude dumps her. Sounds like that was probably the next step, seeing as he apologized to OP. As a rhetorical question, would it have killed her to just break up with OP? People who act like this are baffling. She liked having the best of both worlds, without both worlds getting to know each other. This feels like that deep breath you take on a cold winter evening. It's already dark and there's snow all around. You inhale, it's fresh. It smells like pine with a strong scent of burnt wood. You sense renewal. It is reinvigorating. The insecurity police on this forum are delusional. I mean, they are strong just behind Reddit. In real life, they're perfect losers. I got just flamed today for saying I would divorce my wife if she went to a romantic concert with just her boss. It's baffling. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to let my ex see our kid and saying that she has a mom that wasn't her? I, 26 male, had my daughter Belle, 5 female, with my ex Jade, 26 female, 5 years ago. We were fresh out of college. She had just moved into my apartment with me and just starting our careers. When we found out that we were going to have a baby, Jade seemed excited and was planning right alongside me for when Belle was going to be born. But 7 months into her pregnancy, Jade decided that she didn't want to be a mother to Belle, saying it would just slow down the progress of her career, and she wouldn't be where she wanted to be in life. I'll admit that I did argue with her about this, because Jade wanted to put Belle up for adoption, and I didn't want that due to my own past with my adopted parents. We eventually agreed that Jade would void her parental rights to Belle without going through the courts to do so. After this, Jade and I broke up, with her living at her parents' place for the remainder of her pregnancy. When Jade finally gave birth, she only signed a birth certificate and never held or fed our daughter. Jade moved away to the other side of our state and blocked me wherever she could. My daughter's maternal grandparents did send money to help support Belle, but they stopped after Jade asked them to. My now fiancé, Ashley, 27 female, had stepped in after she heard what happened between Jade and I. Ashley wasn't exactly a friend of Jade's, more like an acquaintance. Ashley had really helped me out throughout the first year of my daughter's life. We didn't start off dating right off the bat. We were friends, and things just sort of happened. Belle calls Ashley Mama, and it's been that way since she could speak. We just got engaged last year. 2 days ago, Jade had reached out to me over the phone, and didn't ask but demand to see our daughter. Jade had said she matured since Belle was born, and was ready to have a co-parenting relationship with me. I was in shock, and it didn't register to me what my ex was saying until she told me Belle deserves to be with her real mother. That snapped me out of it, and angered me, since Ashley had essentially been in Belle's life since she was born. That led me to telling her that she wouldn't be seeing our daughter ever, if I could help it, and that Belle had a mom. That certainly wasn't her. Jade started crying after I said that, so I hung up on her. The few mutual friends we have got told by her what I said and have taken her side, saying that I had no right to keep Belle from her and that I was being too cruel. Now I feel guilty over what I told her, and I'm wondering if I'm the a-hole for saying that to her. Edit. To clarify, we just had a verbal agreement that Jade wouldn't be involved in Belle's life as a mother, which is what I meant when saying that she avoided her rights, but we didn't go through the courts to do so. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. If she truly wants to be a part of Belle's life, she can start with catching up on back child support. Then, and only then, would I even consider it a possibility. The thing is, when we agreed that my ex would avoid her parental rights to Belle, it included not popping out of the blue and demanding to co-parent her. Law 101. If it's not on the record, it didn't happen. True, But the way to make her stop popping up to demand to co-parent is to threaten her with back child support. That may successfully make her go away. Not the a-hole. He messed up by not going through the courts when she was born. She's legally the mother. You need to go file for full custody right now. Go get a lawyer. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband that I can't do this anymore after he quit his job to work with his mother? We are due to have our daughter in 2 weeks and planned ahead of time so I can stay home for a year with her while I'm nursing. We saved around $26,000 plus took into consideration that at his job, he was making $3,000 a month, $23 hourly. Our bills for the year come out to around $46,000. Since we got pregnant, his mom has been super overbearing with the boy mom BS. She's been trying to force her way into our lives in ways that I'm not okay with, like trying to convince us to buy a house with her so she can help raise her baby's baby. My husband actually considered this and I shut it down immediately. Has been stopping in whenever she feels like it, with stuff for him and him only. Like she literally brings him food, 1 serving, only enough for him, around dinner time, probably 2 to 3 days a week, saying, I just know you miss mama's cooking. Keeps buying him mom plus son jewelry, knowing he won't wear jewelry and tells me he will wear it. It's mom and son thing. You wouldn't understand when I tell her he's not going to wear it as he hasn't worn any of it. She is 100% treating him like he is her husband, calling him to go do things for her all hours of the day/night, and all around just trying to get him out of our house and over to hers. On the off chance that he does go over, she's all like, since you're here, I will let you treat me to a mom and son date at Denny's. Or when she's here, she will look at me and tell me how she takes her coffee and expect me to make it for her. I know I'm rambling, but this woman is bad freaking crazy. And no, she was not like this prior to me getting pregnant. They barely spoke before I got pregnant. As soon as she found out we were having a baby, she sunk her claws in, with the whole my baby isn't a baby anymore BS. We are literally in our 30s. So if all sense wasn't insane enough, she's been trying to convince my husband for at least 3 months to quit his job of search and rescue and go work with her so they can spend more time together. She works at a medical rehab facility. I told him I won't tolerate that for one reason. It's $13 an hour, $10 less than an hour that he makes now. I've talked reason with him. Like if he goes there, I will end up having to go back to work. Because $13 an hour cuts his monthly income in half, just about. And this is not what we agreed to or planned for. Not only that, but her job is bi-weekly pay and doesn't have benefits for a year. He had full benefits at his job. He told me he didn't want to work with his mom and not to worry about it. About 2 months ago he said that. But I just found out last night that he did, in fact, quit his job and applied at the place his mom works and bypassed the interview process because mommy vouched for him. So now he has a job with her. I wasn't nice about it when he told me admittedly. I asked him why the heck he would do that. And he goes, well, my mom is getting older and she wanted me to work with her so we can hang out more before she passes. She's literally 61 and healthy. I slept on it and decided I couldn't do this. I told him this morning that I couldn't do this. I'm not going to be overruled by a woman who refuses to stay in her lane. I'm not going to bow down to a mama's boy or a woman who grossly won't leave her son alone. He can do it on his own, and we can do this separately. I told him I will take the money I saved, $23,000 of the $26,000, and figure it out on my own, and that he needs to leave and go back to sucking mama's tit at her house. He, for whatever reason, is shell-shocked that I'm taking it this far, and says I'm an a-hole for not understanding that his mother getting older and wanting to spend time with him should be important. I'm not budging though. He's allowing her to destroy our lives. Edited to add, I want to touch base on finances real quick for the people commenting being a single mom is going to be great. If he was to leave and we get divorced, my bills would reduce at least 1/4, if not more. I've been helping him pay off his student loan debt for 5 years, and the price keeps increasing so there's no end in sight. With the $23,000 that I saved, I could pay for my home and bills for a year and a half. When I add his bills and his debt to the equation, it won't even cover a year. I'm not afraid of single motherhood. He would be involved regardless if we separate as well. Also, we signed a prenup. I owned a house long before we started dating. I withdrew my $23,000 from the bank and put it in my personal. I already spoke to an attorney and I'm in the clear to do so because I have a paper trail in what was mine versus what was his. I'm an accountant. Numbers and money is kind of my specialty. I have it all handled legal-wise. Not the a-hole. He has a family. That should be his first priority. By taking this new job, he's putting his family in financial burden. Mommy also needs to step back. She feels like she's gonna lose her son, but that's no excuse. He just quit his job, the job with benefits. She is about to give birth, and he took 43% pay cut and lost his benefits. If they are in the US and she was on his insurance, he just completely scrapped her health insurance for the birth of their child. Did he get in an accident and lose half his brains? That is absolutely insane. I could not have said it better. Who takes a huge pay cut right before the baby comes? WTH. Student loans, a smaller paycheck, and no second income. He's going to end up living with mommy. And that's before we figure in child support. Not the a-hole. Who the heck thinks it's a good idea to take a 50% pay cut with a baby on the way? Sorry, but your husband is a moron and a mama's boy. He thought that Opie was firmly enough on the hook, carrying his baby and all, that Opie wouldn't dare to take the leap to safety, leaving him behind. He didn't consider that he was the beneficiary of the bulk of monthly expenses. So cutting him loose would be a net gain for Opie. He chose poorly. Yeah, he tried and failed to rub his two brain cells together. It's really kind of sad to see this pattern again and again. I am, however, really happy that OP is doing the right thing and not caving to his unreasonable pressure.
Update. I was an affair baby. Original story. I was an affair baby. My dad was 42 and married with a 20-year-old son and a 17-year-old daughter. And my mom was 21 when I was born. My dad divorced his then wife and married my mom. But he kept in close contact with his children, but they never wanted to meet me. I didn't know about the affair or my dad's other family until I was 17. I always felt lonely being the only child, and knowing I had some half-siblings out there gave me some hope. So I messaged them on Facebook and told them I wanted to meet them and have a relationship with them, but understand if they don't. They didn't reply at the time, and this was 4 years ago. 6 months ago, I received a Facebook message from my half-sister telling me they wanted to meet. I was thrilled. We met and we have been forming a siblings bond since. Problem is, most of my half-siblings' family is upset that we're connecting, but especially their mother. She feels somehow betrayed and see me as the reason her marriage and family are broken. Then a week ago was my half-brother's birthday party and I was invited. This is the first birthday I got to celebrate with one of my half-siblings. Their mother was also there. She didn't talk the whole evening and left early. After she left, my sister-in-law called me aside and told me I was disrupting my half-siblings' family life by showing up. I was putting them on a spot where they have to choose a side. Same with the rest of the family. At that most, the family sided with my half-siblings' mom. So if I really cared about my half-siblings, I would step back. I don't know how to handle this. I do want to be in my half-siblings' lives, but I don't know if I'm doing this right. Can someone please give me some advice on how doing this in the less painful and hurtful way to everybody? Edit. My sister-in-law is my half-brother's wife. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Leave it up to your half-siblings. If they want a relationship with you, awesome. If they don't, then you are better off without, regardless of the reason. Yes, and OP, tell your half-brother what his wife told you. She absolutely went behind his back on that one, and he didn't know she said that. Because if he'd felt the same way she did, he wouldn't have invited you to his party. Let them handle their family. It's not your family, so you don't have any responsibility towards them. This, exactly. I have 4 half-siblings, 2 of whom are from my dad's second family. I would absolutely want to know if my partner ever said anything to them about the situation without me there. And I would never ever leave something like that up to anyone but me to decide. If I choose to invite them to an event at my home, it's because I want them there. End of story. Your half-sister is 34 years old, assuming I did the math right. I think she gets to choose if she wants a relationship with you, and it certainly isn't your sister-in-law's decision. Discuss it with your half-sister. She's a big girl, and she can make her own decisions. It's not your fault your dad had an affair. And while it's understandable that the mom probably feels hurt seeing you being reminded of the affair, you weren't the one that hurt her. You're just a pawn. Assuming you're all adults now, Your half-siblings get to choose if they want to have a relationship with you or not. Being friends with you doesn't mean they're betraying their mom, though she may still be hurt, because you aren't the one who hurt her. Your dad did. Your sister-in-law was butting in, and it isn't her place. And now for the update. I talked to my siblings. It was my brother who told me we needed to talk. Apparently, after the birthday party, one of his daughters approached him and asked why they needed to be nice with me when I was the reason their grandparents' marriage is broken. My brother was shocked because neither my sister or him told their kids any of this. They weren't aware of the circumstances of my birth. My brother asked who told them that, and she told him it was her mom and grandma. My brother is very angry at my sister-in-law and his mom. He already talked to them, and his wife told him she disapproved of me. She saw it as a betrayal to her mother-in-law and doesn't understand why my siblings would want to be around a representation of their family falling apart. Plus, to her, this is as if my brother is enabling cheating and somehow becomes him any pro-cheating. Their mom, on the other hand, told him that at first when my siblings informed her their desire to meet me, she thought she will be okay with it. But after seeing me, she realized she hated me more than she thought. She told him she was well aware of my dad cheating on her, but thought he would never leave her. She just thought eventually my dad would get bored of my mom, and that would be the end of it. Turns out my mom got pregnant and my dad asked for the divorce. Hence the reason she saw me as the reason her marriage fell apart. That explains why she wasn't uncomfortable being around my dad in family gatherings and even was nice to him. All this time, she hoped that showing my dad how generous and good person she was, my dad would leave my mom and I, and return begging forgiveness. Anyway, my siblings told me that none of this was my fault, and that they actually liked me and want me in their lives. I'm already 21, and they already feel they lost a lot of time. So they told me to not to worry because they will handle this. They suggested therapy for their mom because this is really messed up, and my brother needs to work things out with his own wife. I guess it's good enough. You should tell his wife that you are not a thing that resulted from an affair. You are a person that should be judged on your own actions. You never cheated on anyone. Literally. Why does it matter so much to the wife anyway? Petty individual. Anyway, OP, I'm glad your siblings still want a relationship with you. None of this is your fault. You didn't cheat or hurt any of them with your actions. Thanks for the update. I'm glad your brother and sister have your back. Your original post had me a little worried because I read it as your half-sister inviting you to the party without asking the brother. Hopefully everything can continue to improve. I'm sorry that you were caught in the middle of all of it. It's not your fault what happened between your father and his ex-wife. I'm glad that you're looking at it in a positive way, and the fact that your half-brother and half-sister were very welcoming was quite nice. I really hope that the mom would consider going to therapy. I don't support cheating, but it's not fair for you if they treated you badly due to something that is literally out of your control. Next story is titled, My 45 male daughter 22 female wants to buy her sister 17 female a car, and it's tearing our family apart. I have two daughters. Ava is 22 and Lily is 17. They have an amazing bond, and their mom left right after Lily was born, and Ava took on that role. Don't get me wrong, I didn't encourage it, and I didn't want her to grow up too fast, but Ava always viewed Lily as her baby. I have a stepdaughter Rose, who is 16. I remarried 10 years ago, and honestly, we did not succeed at blending families. The girls absolutely hate each other, especially Ava and Rose. We have rules and consequences, so that shut down the worst of the fighting, but they refuse to interact unless absolutely forced. There's less fighting with Ava gone, but Lily and Rose don't even want to be in the same room, and we only see one on the night the other has extracurriculars. I feel bad about the whole situation. We are solid middle class, but Ava is rich. She has been extremely successful in the field she got into young, and I never touched her money, so she has accumulated massive savings and continues to kill it in her chosen field. I'm very proud, but it has caused some issues. Ava likes to take Lily on expensive trips and outings, which makes Rose jealous, and my wife gets angry in her behalf. Now, here is the issue at hand. Lily didn't get her license last year due to lack of time/motivation because she was being treated for severe anxiety. She's now getting her license at the same time as Rose, and Ava wants to buy Lily a nice car. She's talking BMW or Mercedes. When she told me I didn't have an issue, but my wife was very upset. She says it isn't fair to Rose, and that I need to set clear boundaries with Ava about her favoritism and refusal to consider Rose's family. Ava told Lily, and now Lily feels that if she doesn't get a car, I'm choosing my new family over her. Ava's furious and says no one has the right to force her to consider Rose and my wife her family. Rose cried and demanded I don't let Lily have the car. I have no idea what to do. Realistically, if I say no, she will still get the car in a year. No matter what I do, someone is going to be hurt. Let's be honest, your family was already torn apart before this. Whether or not Ava buys a car for Lily, isn't going to change things much. Your daughters are not going to magically accept Rose as their sister. My only advice is to talk to Ava about the car, so it's clear who's paying for the insurance and find the best car for a young and experienced driver. Ava already knows she is paying the insurance. The cars she was suggesting are very safe, which makes me more inclined to agree. Then you really don't have much leg to stand on with forbidding it. You lose both daughters if you dig your heels in, as Lily will have the car but just not want to speak with you anymore. Rose is just envious and you shouldn't enable envy, and her mother should be teaching her that not everything is fair, and sometimes there's nothing you can do about it. You don't really have a place to object here. Ava's a legal adult and Lily's less than a year away from being one also. It sucks that it hurts your stepdaughter, but she's going to learn life isn't always fair anyway. I also talked her into buying a less expensive car for a brand new driver. Yeah, damage control. Focus on her purchasing a car with the highest possible safety ratings. You didn't have an issue with this until your wife told you to have an issue. If their whole childhood has been like this, be prepared to lose both your daughters forever. Your wife cannot force Ava to see Rose as a sibling when they're not siblings. Your stepdaughter sounds like an entitled brat, and your wife is a jealous nightmare. And this is Ava buying a car for her sister. The money isn't coming from you, and your wife has no right to tell Ava how she can and can't spend her money, or on who. Now for the last story. My wife said she plans to exclude my daughter 17 female, her stepdaughter 15 years who calls her mom, from her will. My wife 51 female and I 55 male have a blended family. When we got married, she had a 10-year-old son, now 25, and 6-year-old daughter, now 21. My daughter was 2 and her mom, who suffered from chronic depression, had died from a drug overdose soon after her birth and therefore doesn't remember anything of her biological mother. My wife and I later had a son together, now aged 12. When we got married, my wife's ex-husband had begun his medical residency 2 hours away and was more of a weekend and holidays fixture in the kids' lives. I told her how much I adored her kids, and they referred to me as uncle since I didn't want to step on our ex's toes. I felt that my wife also adored my daughter, and I told her how since she was the only mother figure my daughter has ever known, there was no reason for her to be called a stepmother, and hopefully the kids would refer to each other as only siblings, and my wife eagerly agreed. For the first 5 years of our marriage, everybody got along. My daughter was referred to as the older kid's little sister, and she called my wife Mom. I talked to a therapist about breaching the biological mom topic, but hesitated because I was agonizing over the right time. Then my wife got pregnant and gave birth to our son. She doted on our son and told me it was a living reminder of how much I meant to her. Around that time, the other kids felt like their mother's attention was being monopolized and started feeling jealous. They started fighting among each other, and around that time my 11-year-old told my 7-year-old that she was only a stepsister, and we had to go to therapy to deal with the fallout from that. We later also had to deal with the fact that as my younger son grew up, he had a phase where he would call my biological daughter his half-sister, but call his other 2 older siblings his sister and brother. Throughout these trials, I felt like my wife was pretty even-keeled, and nobody complained about favoritism. I contributed to both my 25 and 21-year-old's college fund. My oldest son is now in medical school, and I pay his expenses and half of his tuition while my wife's ex pays the other half. My 21-year-old is taking a gap year from an unpaid internship, and I'm paying her rent. My wife was a stay-at-home mom for most of our marriage. I own a few restaurants and a bread and breakfast. Later, my wife and I made some real estate investments, and she recently invested in property and a parking garage on her own. She mostly keeps her earnings separate. But recently, I've been having a series of rather serious health issues. I was diagnosed 6 months ago with an autoimmune condition. I think the diagnosis kind of hammered home the fact that my wife and I might be gone sooner rather than later. We started talking about wills, and about how to best set her up so she could be our family's rock if I passed, likely much earlier than she will. I had toyed with the idea of having a joint will. My wife initially agreed to look into it, but after a while, she said that this wasn't going to work and that she wanted a separate will. She said that she was sorry for bringing this up when I was still so sick, and that it was nothing personal, but she thinks that when she leaves the earth, The fruits of her life should go to her own biological children, and that she has raised my daughter from age 2, and that's more than most other women would do for a child that wasn't theirs. I was shocked. I asked her how long she's felt this, and she admitted that it was easier in the early years of our marriage, especially since she was dealing with bad memories from her ex and how that affected her relationship with her biological children. But after our son was born, she said she realized she had something with her biological children that she never could have with my daughter, and that she felt like a bad mother every time she thought of leaving my daughter any money. She said her kids didn't deserve that, and she feels guilty every time she had to take time away from her older daughter in particular to give to my daughter. And if she left our daughter anything, she'd be essentially robbing her own kids. When I pointed out that I was leaving her kids and mine equal amounts of money, she told me to not take whatever I feel about her out on the kids. What do I do? Regardless of the money, I cannot imagine the shock that my daughter will feel when the woman she's called mom all her life without a second thought cuts her out of her will for no fault of her own. The relationship between her and her older sister in particular is filled with tension, but I think she would assume her mom loved her equally. My wife is right in her assumption that I could never fathom giving any of my kids more than the other. But this has thrown me for a loop, because the older 2 kids' father is a very successful practice and no other kids, and he has basically said he will pass it down to his kids and split assets evenly among the 2. I had intended on giving my wife the bulk of my estate, but now I know that my businesses and money will probably end up being given to all of my 3 other kids, probably way before my wife passes. I can't think of the pain that my daughter will feel. I don't know whether or not I need to prepare my daughter for that eventual reality, whether she's old enough to worry about matters of wills, and the possibility of the complexity between her mom's decision. I know my wife enough to see that this has been something she's been decided on for a long time, and she's resolute about it. I have set up my daughter's college fund single-handedly, despite me not thinking anything of it before, and I resent my wife for not even offering to help despite the bountiful returns her investments have gotten her, which she had used to pay for numerous miscellaneous costs for our oldest son in medical school, and also to buy her 12-year-old very lavish gifts. I would call her bluff. Show her your new will that excludes her children, and even her, leaving everything to your daughter and your shared son. Use her exact words as your defense of this decision. Edit. As actual advice, regardless of whether divorce is on the table, you need to consult both a divorce attorney and an estate planning attorney to protect your child. You need to protect your daughter immediately. I can't even fathom your wife's logic. It is so undeniably cruel. Leave the majority to your daughter, but include your son as well. Please take care to install bulletproof trusts for them. Your so-called wife sounds like a monster. I would be tempted to put the house in your daughter's name and make your wife rent from her. My condolences. You need to rewrite your will, leaving the bulk of your estate to your daughter. Not because you're taking anything out on your wife's kids, but because you've learned that the child's other parent intends to make no provision for her. So you need to adjust your bequests, so that she's cared for the manner you expect and intend. There are state laws regarding what a spouse is entitled to, however, and you should consult an attorney in your state.
Update. I'm 28 female, lost weight, now I want to divorce my husband, 29 male. Original post. We've been married for 5 years and together for 7 years. We also have a 3-year-old kid. After having the baby, I struggled a lot with losing the baby weight and adjusting to being a parent. I also had a baby blues at first, which was tough. I wasn't really focused on my appearance, and instead I was trying to figure out our new routine and way of life. But then, my husband started making these little comments about my body and how I should start working out and wearing makeup again. It made me feel really awful, and I worried that he might start looking elsewhere because we weren't being intimate anymore. He even suggested hiring a nanny so I could have more time for myself, but I wanted to be there for our baby full-time, so I turned down the offer. That made him angry, and he started acting cold towards me. Months went by without any hugs, kisses, romance, or any kind of affection. My self-esteem hit rock bottom. Every time I looked in the mirror, all I saw were the flaws that my husband pointed out. By this point, our son was already 2 years old, and I desperately wanted to win my husband back. I thought that if I got in shape again, he would show me love and affection and our marriage would be saved. I craved his attention so much, and it hurt to see how much things has changed. But you can't force someone to be affectionate. I took matters into my own hands and hired some help. With more free time, I started going to the gym, taking swimming classes, which are amazing for your back by the way, getting my hair and lashes done regularly and eating healthier. And guess what? I've lost a ton of weight and I feel amazing. Suddenly, my husband started touching me, kissing me, buying me flowers and treating me like the complete opposite of how he treated me before. You'd think that would make me feel better, but for some reason, it made me feel worse. All I could think about were the hurtful things he said to me when I was at my lowest, and how cold he was towards me. I get that you can't force attraction, but why couldn't he just hug me or give me a kiss on the cheek, even when I was overweight? Why couldn't he love me as a human being and the mother of his child? When my self-esteem came back, I got really angry at myself for putting up with his behavior for so long. A few days ago, I told him I wanted a divorce because I don't think I could move past how badly he treated me. He apologized and promised to change and prove that he can be better. But honestly, I'm not sure if I can trust him again. What if I gain weight again or have to deal with health issues? Will he treat me like garbage again? I've talked to some friends and family about the whole situation, and some say I should give him another chance while others say I should leave him. So I'm turning to Reddit for some advice. Am I justified in being upset over this? Do you think it's possible for my husband to change his behavior for a long term? Or is a divorce the right move here? Now for the top advice before reading the update. Yes, you're justified. I've had huge weight swings in my marriage, and my husband never treated me like crap when I was heavier. Based on what is he going to change? Saying you will is meaningless. Frankly, I wouldn't want to be with someone who treated strangers like that, let alone me. How will he treat your kid if they are overweight? I've been both my lowest weight and my highest weight in my current relationship, and how I look has never had an impact on how my husband treated me. When I was 140 pounds, he told me I was sexy and couldn't keep his hands off me. And when I was 220 pounds, he told me I was sexy and couldn't keep his hands off me. 100% justified. Opie's husband has shown that he cannot, and will not, hold up his end of for better and for worse through sickness and in health. What happens if she gets cancer, loses a limb, or when she inevitably ages and starts sagging? Boot him to the curb. Gosh, I'm so sorry. This is truly awful. I'm a year older than you. I'm almost 30, and I'm telling you that there's so much more out there for you. My daughter is 6 now, and when I left her father, I thought my life was over. He used to complain about everything. How I dressed, the music I listened to, the TV shows I watched. I realized after my daughter was born, I would never want her to deal with the treatment I was accepting for myself. Move on. If you gain weight again, or heaven forbid, get sick in some way, this is not the man you want to be by your side. Those men are out there, and you are so young. You can find someone who will love you with no strings attached. Now for the update. Thanks a lot for all the advice you gave me after my last post. It was really tough to make a decision, especially considering our son. So I sat down with my husband and had a conversation about what happened. He kept saying sorry, but I asked him if he actually understood why his behavior was hurtful. He just kept saying he was being a jerk, but I feel like he didn't really grasp why it was a problem. So I broke it down for him. I told him that saying I still look pregnant 3 months after giving birth, or calling me a mess because of my dark circles, rolling his eyes when I wanted to show affection, not talking to me for days without any reason and not wanting to spend time together were all really hurtful. And on top of that, he didn't offer the help so I could take care of my mental health. Instead, he wanted me to go to the gym and get in shape. When I reminded him of all this, he couldn't even look me in the eye and didn't say a word. The silence in the room was so thick you could cut it with a knife. I just don't think he fully understands how badly he treated me. No amount of extra weight can justify that kind of behavior. I wouldn't treat a stranger like that, let alone someone I love. But for the sake of our son, I still offered him couples counseling. And guess what? He refused. He said he was afraid that the therapist and I would team up against him and make things worse. We went round and round in circles, and after almost 3 hours of talking, I finally had enough and told him I wanted a divorce. He tried to convince me that he could prove he can change, but when I asked him how, he just said I had to have faith in him and see it for myself down the line. That's just not good enough for me. I told him I was taking our son to my mom's place for the weekend and that we would discuss everything before finalizing the divorce on Monday. He said okay and we left. But now he won't stop blowing up my phone, begging for a second chance, and telling me how much he loves me and how he made a mistake. It's really disheartening to see how much he changed after we had our son. All I ever wanted from him was love, loyalty, and respect. But he didn't give me any of that in the past few years. I still wanted to give him a chance, but he doesn't want to put in the work to make things better. If it comes to that, I'll be able to raise our son on my own as I'm financially independent and secure. I also have a lot of help, so it'll be okay. I still want him to be a part of our son's life and be the best daddy he can be. But I can't be with someone who doesn't love or respect me. I wanted to thank you again for all your support and the advice you gave me. I thought my husband was the person I would grow old with, but the universe has other plans for me. It will be really hard to let him go, but I'm hoping it's for the better. His refusal to attend counseling proves he is more interested in protecting his ego than mending the relationship. Best of luck. You deserve a partner that can show you respect and affection. I have a feeling he only wants her back, because getting divorced is also a bruise to his ego and how he would look to his peers. And yet, he hasn't even listed a single way he would change. This exactly. After I split up with my ex-husband, he begged for a year to get back together. When I finally asked what would be different if we got back together, he looked puzzled and said, "Well, nothing, but you've got to take me back, because you're my wife." Needless to say, I declined. It's always confusing for me when someone refuses therapy but in the same breath says they don't want to lose you. It just shows they will still always put themselves first. Agreed. After reading that, I was thinking, okay, this is a shot to own up to his mistakes and try to fix things with this relationship. But nope, doesn't seem like he's up for that. It seems like he knows he messed up big time, assuming his wife and therapist would team up against him. It also shows he's not putting in much effort to understand why he messed up and make things right. So the OP going for a divorce was probably the right move. Proud of you for standing up for yourself. It's hard, but so worth it. Last story. Update. My 30 female husband, 34 male, keeps sneaking out to the middle of the night. Original post. As the title says, my husband keeps sneaking out in the middle of the night. For basically as long as I can remember, I've gotten up around 4 a.m. or so to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. That's just how my body is. And lately when I do so, I won't find my husband in bed. In fact, I can't find him anywhere. He does have pretty bad insomnia, and sometimes on really bad nights, I would find him in the living room watching TV or playing a video game. Also, it is not every night. It's maybe every other night that he is sneaking out. I'm trying not to let it bother me, but this has been going on for about a month now, and I'm starting to get really annoyed/worried about where he's going, and what he's doing at such weird hours of the night. It happened again the other night, and I stayed up until he decided to come home at 6 a.m. Mind you, I don't know how long he was actually gone, just that he hadn't been there from about 4 a.m. until then. I admit I was pretty cranky and annoyed when he got home, and I asked him where he had been. He told me not to worry about it and let's go back to sleep. I kept pushing, and he said he just goes out for a walk. I wasn't satisfied with that answer, but the conversation kept going back, so he just takes a walk to burn any extra energy or to clear his head when he can't sleep. So I decided to drop it, as I was pretty tired and had to be up in an hour to go to work anyway. Well, it happened again tonight/this morning. I got up to go to the bathroom and I couldn't find my husband anywhere. Again, I was really annoyed, and I stayed up to see when he would get home. It was 5:35, so that's an improvement at least. When he got home, he looked so sleepy and climbed into bed. And without saying a word, I got out and took my pillow and blanket and came to the couch where I am now. I know it's petty to give him the silent treatment, but I'm frustrated. And I just want to be by myself right now. I can hear him snoring, so I guess his walk worked. I'm not sure what to do now. I'm exhausted and I honestly just want to know the truth. Should I confront him? I'm not big in confrontation, but at the same time, I really want to know what's going on. Now for the top advice before reading the update. It's weird that he didn't mention it until you caught him. Everyone is saying you're out of line for being suspicious, probably isn't married. Because the first time me or my husband's insomnia was bad enough, we left the house on foot, in the dark for hours. We would mention something the next morning. Like, wow, crazy, right? But it really helped, so I might keep taking walks. Checking in with your life partner like this isn't controlling, it's for safety. He doesn't need your permission, but if he's outside in the middle of the night, you should know. What if he doesn't come home one morning? You call the cops and report him missing and all you can say is, I don't know. He says he walks for hours at night, but I have no idea where he went/where he could be. I actually am constantly sharing my location in my phone with my husband, my mom and my best friend for reasons like this. Your husband can do what he wants without permission, but not without giving you a heads up as a courtesy. I honestly think he's probably doing something shady and you should trust your gut. It sounds like he's pretty dismissive when you ask where he's been. Let's be real here. Going for a walk for 2 hours in the middle of the night is not normal. Does he acknowledge that? Does he validate the trauma you have on top of that? Is he working on things he might do to avoid such strange behavior? Nothing in this post suggests to me that you're jumping to conclusions, and I think most people would suspect something is wrong here. I think you should insist on a more thorough discussion with him before anything else. A friend has really bad insomnia and goes for a walk in the middle of the night. It is often the only thing that enables her to sleep. Okay, but if your friend's partner wanted to know where she had been, would she be dismissive of their concern? When she came back, yes. As if she gets straight into bed, she can sometimes go to sleep. But if she is interrupted, she won't get any sleep. OP needs to have a sit-down conversation with him at a different time and see what the case is. Now for the update 9 months later. Hello all, I wanted to provide you with an update. Apologies for taking so long to update. My life has been a whirlwind for the past 8 months, and I honestly haven't been in the best mental state. Also warning, this update touches on topics of depression, drug use, and cheating. So, about 2 months ago, a police car pulled up to my house and 2 police officers knocked on my door. They told me they were there to do a wellness check on my husband because his girlfriend hadn't heard from him in 3 days and was worried about him. They asked me if I was his sister or what my relationship to him was. I told them I was his wife, and beyond that I can't even remember what I said. I was in shock. I just remembered them leaving and me closing the door and crying. He was at work at a time, and when he got home, he could tell I was upset. I mean, it was obvious, because every time I tried to speak, I would just start crying again. Eventually, it got to the point that I guess he knew he had to come clean, and he told me everything. So yeah, I found out he had been cheating on me with an ex-coworker of his. Not only this, but he had been supporting her and her 2 kids, because she couldn't hold down a job and he didn't want them to end up homeless. The reason she couldn't hold down a job is because she was/is into drugs, and would go on week-long benders where she just wouldn't show up to work. And he says that about a year ago, she called him out of the blue and cried to him, saying that she was about to lose her apartment because her husband was cheating on her and had basically vanished. Ironic, I know. Leaving her with all the bills that had to be paid, and her 2 kids needed food and new stuff for school. He says that at first, it was just financially supporting her and her kids, until he started doing the drugs with her, and that's when things escalated. He told me he had cut things off with her 3 days before the police showed up, and that's why they were doing a wellness check. So I asked him if that was where he was going when he was sneaking out. He said yes, for the most part. He also said, to be fair, I really would just go on a walk or drive around sometimes. And I know there are going to be questions about how I didn't notice the missing money, so here's my answer. We have separate bank accounts. He pays for his bills and I pay for mine. And our joint bill comes out of my account, and it pays me back whatever the total is for those bills. And well, he never stopped paying me for those bills, and household things that were in his name never got shut off. So I never had a reason to think anything was wrong in that area. I've been so emotionally numb for these past 2 months, and he has been begging me for about 2 months to make a decision about our relationship. As in divorce, because being in limbo is really stressful for him. I honestly just don't want to even put any energy into thinking about the future at all right now. All of my friends and family are telling me to get a divorce. But I don't know, everything had been great up until 8 months ago, and our lives are so intertwined. That feels so stupid to say, but I'm basically paralyzed with numbness. I did, however, make an appointment for couples therapy, so I guess I will see how that goes. He seems up to it. And I just wanted to extend a thank you to all the people that took the time to read this and the last one. I'm so sorry. I hate to add to your pain, but you need to get an STD test now. If he was sleeping with a drug addict, then he could pass something on to you. Please think seriously about seeing a divorce attorney to see about your options. STD test was the first thing I thought of too. Then also divorce this man. Your life is not intertwined enough to stay with someone who would only confess because he got caught. Change your couples therapy to personal therapy and find some self-love and self-respect. If your best friend told you this was happening to them, what would you advise them to do? He's not just sleeping with her, he is also doing drugs. Who knows where the substances come from, or what it's laced with, or with whom else they use? If applicable, are they sharing needles? I'm sorry, but there is no salvaging this relationship. Even now he's more worried about himself over what he did to you, OP. I mean, seriously, it's causing him stress? What? Like the past 8+ months of you asking and worrying didn't cause you stress? He's selfish and doesn't really seem to care what you decide. He just wants it done. Personally, I'd end it and get tested ASAP if you haven't already. Also, I freaking laughed with his. To be fair, he did walk sometimes. Oh, okay. Guess I can forgive you since there were a few nights in the last 8+ months you haven't been banging someone else, doing drugs and risking my health and financial stability. Whatever. Also, don't tell him now. Go speak to an attorney. Get your ducks in a row and make a plan. Then let him know you've filed and have him served. You make the first move.